want to
Yeah.
welcome us back?
So are we starting? Or are we not? I
Yeah,
can't tell
now we're
what's
starting.
happening.
How is your day going? Because mine's going crazy. Rob's home. Henry's hanging out with him so I can record. I'm not in my normal place, obviously. I'm locked in a room upstairs to hopefully have some quiet.
Believe me, I get you because you normally have the silence and I'm the one with the crazy. And I still have the crazy is here. I'm just down in the headquarters. But actually, one of the crazies is at camp. So London's at camp. And then my mom took Channing to the park this morning. So they were just leaving whenever I was walking down here. So that also took me a second, to get him loaded up and ready to go. So
Well, you look
believe
like
me.
fully together. Your background's gorge. Like everything is just looking so great. And I'm in my flannel hair from yesterday, a sign sideways. This is the metaphor for my life right now. You always talk about the metaphors for your life. This is the metaphor for my life.
Believe me, I feel you. And I had to put the sign up yesterday because I thought I was going to get fired from the podcast because I couldn't record yesterday. So I was trying to get the sign up so that I'd be ready whenever you needed me. But all of this is my fault. So
No, it's Summer's fault. And then today it's my fault because I forgot Rob was going to be home today for Juneteenth, which happy Juneteenth. And it totally blanked. I totally blanked. So, good thing I have Henry. He's just hanging with Rob and he'll text me if there's any, emergency.
yeah, hopefully no emergencies. But I mean, I'm on standby with my text too.
God.
We'll just see what happens.
Nothing like I feel like we can handle anything, but when someone is helping us with a kid, both kids, whatever, in your case, 3 kids, it's like they can't ever do it like we do. You know what I mean? Like we never need anyone or any help on a normal day,
I need a lot of help.
Well,
Let's be honest. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
we can get through it without we can
Right.
do 1 hour. We can do 1 hour
Yeah.
without, unless it's just something crazy's going on.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
we make it work, but I mean, and so yesterday we were trying to record because yesterday would have been Tuesday, and we were trying to record yesterday. My fault because I had 2 pediatrician appointments, which was so fun. And the best part about it was I can't tell you how many times I was offered and asked, why don't you just bring them both at the same time?
Yeah, no.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I promise it's better to be bringing them separate. And I know that seems like, well, that's inconvenient, but to bring them together would have been.
Yeah, it would have been a while. And Henry had a doctor's appointment that I forgot about yesterday too. So listen, we're trying our best here. We're trying our
It's
best.
our first rodeo.
It is. And we would not be doing this if we didn't want to. Let me just say that. Like, we are in no obligation to anything or anyone. We just really, that's how much we love doing this. I think it's like our time. It's like it's our time.
And that's the problem is we haven't been able to make time for our time.
This is as good as it gets.
This is as good as it gets. This next, how long do we have?
Until Henry's like, Mom, because let me tell you something. Henry is great, but he is not like paternal. And when it comes to Rob, and with Rob, you have to, it's like he needs the right person with the right.
We got to be a step ahead.
You got to be a step ahead.
And Henry's probably a step behind.
He is.
He's a kid.
Yeah, and I never have like asked him to step in as like in like a parent role because I'm always so worried about, you know what I mean? Like him just like not feeling like a kid because of our situation, because there's a lot of growing up he has had to do. So I'm like really careful not to ever make him think like he's responsible for Rob in any
it's
way.
not his job.
But today I'm like, you're responsible for 1 hour. I was like, act like a parent today. He's like, what? And I'm like, just instead of like just calling for me if you need something, just maybe try to figure it out. Just try, just a little bit. And I was like, I will pay you. This is babysitting. I will pay you. He's
I
like,
was gonna
"Oh,
say,
okay."
I'll send him some Chick-fil-A or something, whatever he wants. I will floss him to anything that Henry says he wants
Oh,
for
Henry.
giving us this time.
What a gift. Um,
What a gift.
what a gift. How was Father's Day for y'all? How was this that whole weekend? Because you had a big weekend.
Did have a big weekend, and I'm still, like, trying to I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's the best to do with because so Father's Day was part of the weekend, but we also celebrated all 3 kids' birthdays on Sunday, and because that was, like, the one day that was gonna work for the majority of the people in our family, and it was honestly, like it was great in some ways, but then I also wonder if it's the right way to do it, because so we have London, her birthday's June 24th, and then Channing and Lainey are both June 30th. So together, kind of like, I don't know, I just don't know the right way to celebrate them all. So what we did on Sunday,
Mhm.
we really didn't do anything Saturday. We didn't go anywhere, which we don't normally go anywhere anyway.
Yeah,
I
same.
can't remember the last time I left my house except for to take it's like camp and
Yeah.
home, therapy home. Sunday, we decided in the morning to do a party just for London's birthday at a little play place. And, she had some friends from her school, her little preschool class come, and it was really special. But, those like parties are so fast because
Mhm.
they're, 2-hour windows. And so we, did her little thing and I think she had fun. And then as soon as we got home, we're gonna switch gears and it'll be Channing and Lainey's celebration. But Lainey went and took a nap for like 3 hours because she was exhausted from the morning. She doesn't get out much.
And it's like all you
So
need for Lainey is like, okay, we just need the cake smash and to like sing happy birthday. And if we can just get that, we're good.
yes. And like I wanted to do that when we got home, but she would have literally like fallen asleep in the cake. But, so then we, like, switched gears and we're celebrating them. First, we did kind of chanting and we sang to him. It's like, I don't know that I gave them each enough of their own time, but
Mhm.
at the same time, I think their birthdays will kind of always be celebrated together, and I wanna kinda normalize that
Yeah.
because to me, that's easier. But
That's what
also, I feel like for cheating, that might be easier too.
Mhm.
Last podcast, I was constantly second guessing myself, and now it's just coming back into this podcast. Here I
No.
am second guessing the birthdays.
Well, newsflash, it'll never end. And I feel like it can totally work now to just keep them all together. I feel like once maybe the kids get older and especially I know London like loves her attention and loves to be celebrated, so you might have to do like an entirely separate day for her and then do like
Yeah,
Channing and Laning's on the same day.
yeah.
But I mean also it's like whatever works for you. This is it's you're the one basically doing all the work. You wanna also, like, enjoy your kids on their birthdays and everything. It does not have to be anything other than, like, what works for you and what you know the kids will love. And
Mhm.
that's I don't know, it's hard. Henry and, Rob are a month apart, so we have, like, a family birthday now together, and then Henry likes to have, like, something with his friends. So, I don't know, like renting a movie theater or like I think he wants to do a pool party this year for his friends since we have the pool now. So, but I've never been a big birthday like mom where I go all out because it's stressful on me like the expectations. I don't
Yeah.
know. And like hosting friends and like parents, it's just a lot, but that's just how I am. I know there's a lot of moms out there who love to put on a party. I'm like good friends with moms who they are very much opposite of me. And I love that because I don't know, they inspire me to get outside of my comfort zone a little bit. This is every time anyone listening, every time we record, something goes wrong. I mean, we're pretty scrappy at this point with figuring out how to get a podcast episode uploaded. And yes, we did. If anyone's asking, why don't y'all record the day before? That is our plan. and we just haven't been able to stick to it. So we do the day of, and it's been working. Then it just something always happens. We're back to talking about Father's Day weekend, and I had something happen on a more serious note, and I had texted Lauren about this, and I want to share it in a way that is not negative towards Rob, because what I want to preface this with is Rob will use physical movements and other ways of communication without being able to say he's frustrated or he's upset or get out of my space or something like that. And so it's always hard. It doesn't ever bother me when it happens to me. If Rob needs to push me away or something like that, because I understand that that's his way of communication. And I always try as a mother to redirect. And it's for him, it's not discipline. And if I do quote unquote discipline Rob, it's in a way that is trying to teach him something. I never use discipline with Rob as a form of like punishment, if that makes sense. And I know discipline is like such a hot topic with autism because it just looks so different for our kids. And so that's the way I kind of look at discipline when it comes to Rob. I'm never trying to punish him. I'm trying to teach him something. So if he pushes me or something, I want him to know it hurts or how someone else might react. So this weekend, Rob had a moment with his cousin who's his age. And I had to explain to her, explaining this to a 7-year-old. So I'm trying to do it in a really digestible way that is very just like affirming of who Rob is, but also acknowledging like her feelings and I had to be an advocate for both of them. And that's really hard sometimes, So I was like trying to advocate for both of them at the same time. And anyway, so I had texted her parents later. I was like, show this to her. It was the video that I had recorded a reel for where Rob, and I didn't even know that he was gonna push me in the pool. I thought I was just like recording a cute moment with him, like picking flowers from the tree, and he pushed me in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent that to them to show her, like, hey, it's not you, like Rob. This is just something that he does that we're working on, and it's a way to communicate something that he's feeling. In this case, it was get out of my way, and like I want to see you fall and splash.
Channing does that
So
same thing.
yeah, but it doesn't make it any less painful when you see someone else that gets upset by your child doing something like that, especially like a peer that's his age. And so anyway, I texted Lauren and I was just like, oh God, this sucks. Like it just broke my heart for both of them. And that's just like a real moment that happened for us over Father's Day weekend. We had some really great moments and some really great just times together as a family. But if you're someone who like I just feel like I want to normalize something like that happening, and it feels like it ruins the whole day or the whole weekend because it just feels so big. And I'm trying to teach myself that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
But it certainly felt that in the moment.
Yeah. Because it just seems so much louder than everything else, but you really have to try and make the other things shine brighter than that moment, which is so much easier said than done. But I feel like, we had a couple of things that happened over the weekend too, that if I try and focus on them, I could really think the weekend was a fail, but really I know it wasn't whenever I think about all of the other good things. But gosh, sometimes those hard things they cut so much deeper than you expect them to. And then, you just can't, it's hard to push back out of it when you get into those feels.
I know. There's some big feels. And I went back and forth with if this is something I wanted to bring up, but I feel like this is a really safe space. And it's so funny because it's like God knows when to show you something. in the middle of feeling a very specific way as a parent. Like this doesn't just like happen to everybody, what we kind of go through. And this account, forget what it's called. He shares about their family's journey. And this reel came up and it was just talking about how his autistic daughter has like playfully, pushed kids at the park, and maybe if they've gotten in her space, pushed them in a way that was like, get out of my space. And then just some other things that in the vein of like talking about discipline, and then also just like allowing them to communicate, but then also like trying to redirect a safer way of communicating. I needed to see that. It came up on my feed like 2 hours after that had happened. And I was so grateful for it. I was thankful for it because like someone maybe listening right now who doesn't feel alone after I just shared that, that didn't make me feel alone. It brought a smile to my face, quite honestly, when before I was just like really upset by the situation, but like also keeping it together. So I don't know. I was just like really thankful to see that at that moment.
Now, I always wonder because Channing's been recently doing the same kind of thing with his little sisters, and like they're so much smaller than him, and he's just like Rob, like they're not meaning it mean. It's more of, Rob wanted
Yeah.
her out of his way or wanted to watch her fall. I think Channing really likes to watch them fall. And I think he also
Yeah.
gets a reaction out of it. So he likes that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we redirect that? Because we can redirect so many things, but that's a hard one to try and redirect.
Yeah. So I watched Rob do it, and I felt like he was recreating a scene from a movie because it came out of nowhere. And sometimes the big feelings, a lot of times, most of the time actually, they do come out of nowhere. And when it's an emotional reaction. But I felt like I can always kind of see the subtle buildup that probably no one else can see. I didn't really see that. So I don't know. And that's the other part, is like I was trying to like guess like why. And I don't know. It was just like one of the hard parts of the weekend. But like I said, seeing that another parent was going through it, I know you go through it. It just helps me feel like it's no one's fault. It's not Rob's fault. It's not my fault. It's just something that we have to work on in a way that affirms Rob, that also advocates for the person who was like pushed. So that was something that was brought up in our Instagram post. So there's so many great topics that have been brought up on the comments. So I feel like it's always a good place to go to when we want to see like if something we're talking about has been asked. Joe Mitchell had mentioned like how to redirect meltdowns and things like that, and like how do you like recover yourself. And I feel like it's kind of similar like it's kind of similar to what we were just talking about. I don't know, do you have anything that
So specifically for us, we have found that Channing does best if he's not denied access, which is not,
same.
yeah. So we always will try, if it's a possibility to say yes, we will try to say yes because we want to just prevent the meltdown from even happening.
Mhm.
So that's why we don't really go a whole lot of places, because we know where he's happy, where he's going to be, the most content, and where we might not have meltdowns is normally here at our house. But whenever he does have those things that happen, we've found he likes for us to count with him. So we do, and actually his ABA therapist kind of showed us this. So he can't, say the numbers yet, but whenever I just say, okay, look at me, and we just like look at each other in the eyes and we start counting down from 10 or counting up from 1 and go to 10, and he just kind of, each time I say a number, he does like duh, duh. So I'll be like 1 and he'll go 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4. Like, he just keeps making the
I
same
love
sound,
that.
but it's like it brings him into that moment and tries to take away
Mhm.
the thoughts of the other moment where he was upset. And sometimes we have to count a lot. We'll just keep counting. But eventually, I feel like he kind of comes back to me and like settles himself. So the counting has been our go to. Plus, I've talked about giggles and skittles a lot because honestly, that is
Yeah.
one of the things that it really does help redirect him and bring him,
Mhm.
back to a good homeostasis.
Ooh, that's a big word.
Well, it was delayed. Glad it came through. But also, we've tried to recreate. So, like, if there's something that he's wanting to do that we really can't have him doing, we'll try to recreate it in a way where it does work. So, at home, one of those like plastic baby pools, and we have that in our shower. And so a lot of times if he's not able to come outside and like throw rocks in the trough, which he, loves to do, then we can redirect him to go into our shower and fill up that baby pool with water and kind of recreate a mini trough in
Yeah.
the shower, which is
Mhm.
crazy, but I feel like we try to come up with little things that kind of create what he was trying to do that wasn't really acceptable at that time. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, it makes a whole lot of sense because what he's trying to do, like for example, going to the trough, is he's trying to regulate those emotions. And so, as his parent, okay, well, if we can't get there right now because you have London or you have Lainey and you can't just like leave out the back door and go down to the trough, you have another safe and familiar and similar way he likes to regulate in the shower. And so that's you like proactively helping him get that stimulation, that regulation, and working through those feelings. And that's what we do a lot with Rob. Denied access is a big one for us too. We also have just moments where it's like out of nowhere, just like an emotional cry.
We
So
had one of those
there,
last night, and it is the worst. Their tears are worse than anyone else's tears.
that's so crazy because Rob's was last night too, and it just came out of nowhere. And I think so with something like that, Rob loves to be with me. He wants to be right next to me. When it's feelings of frustration and things like that, I'm always there if he needs me, but I have learned that sometimes he just wants his space. I've learned to just make sure he's in a safe environment, that no one is around him that could potentially make things worse. You know, that's kind of what we do. Is it just depends on what kind of sensory overload we're going through. There's a specific way that I help him through it, that doesn't look the same for another emotion. For me, a lot of times I am in, and humans in general, when you're going through a crisis, and if you've been through a huge meltdown, to me, that's a crisis because I'm trying to keep my child safe from hurting himself or someone else. And so that is like a crisis situation. And humans in general, a lot of times when they're trying to get through it, have this rush of adrenaline, and they will a lot of times submerge and suppress how they're really feeling to get through it. And they are pretty much like in control and not overreacting a lot of times. I have taught myself to do that at least. And so in the moment, I feel like I'm very in control. It's afterwards that I have to release and process what just happened. And I try to do it alone. And it's either I cry or I yell into a pillow. And that's kind of how I get through it. There will be times too, I feel like, where you just have to walk away if something's happening because we're also only human, and you don't like we get like anger is a very normal emotion, but we don't want to get angry at our kids. So it's okay to feel angry, I feel like, but not at our child who can you only imagine how they're feeling on the inside and what they're trying to communicate? So if you feel angry, if I feel angry, um, I walk away. Sometimes I just have to walk away be to center myself to be the parent that my child needs me to be.
Mhm.
So like walking into another room, knowing that he's safe and everything, just walk into another room and collect my thoughts, center myself, take a deep breath so that I can go back and be who he needs me to be. This is like such a tough topic, I feel like, and I've honestly feel like I've avoided talking about it, but I think I've finally figured out a way to do it where I don't cry while talking about it. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, I think I think the way that you handle it is actually very healthy. I'm afraid that I may not handle it as healthy because I probably should recognize those feelings in the moment and, walk away like you do. But I feel like I just suppress them, and then eventually it all just comes to a head, and you won't hear from me for a day because you're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm having an emotional day because it probably all just built up and then popped out on this one random day. And if I would acknowledge it more in the moment, then maybe I wouldn't get to that point. So I'm actually going to try to be better about that.
I do the same thing that you do too, though. Like, and let me just say, this is me handling it on a good day. It does not always happen like that. There's a lot of times where I'll do the same thing you do, suppress it, and then it all boils up and explodes onto someone like John, which is
That's
not fair
exactly
to
what I was
him,
about to
but
say.
it's
Explode on someone else whose fault it was not.
yeah, because we won't take it out on our kids because it's not their fault, but it's not anyone else's fault either. We're just trying to deal. And everyone processes things differently. Like, so for you, it just takes longer to process a lot of times. And you're processing it internally in a different type of way. And like I said, I'm the communicator. So I like to talk through things, get it out, feel it. But that also, sometimes I need to be quiet and deal with it on my own. I don't
No,
know.
I
There's no
think you do
right way
it
to do
very
it.
healthy.
Well, I'm always here if you need me, if you want to call and vent and work on it. I will be so happy that you called me because I'm always the one calling you.
No, it's crazy though that we've both had these moments just in the last few nights because I think a lot of it is summer for Channing too, but we've had
Yeah.
like a couple of times where there's just been a lot of loud stomps and a lot of loud screams, and I'm trying to figure out how to regulate him and acknowledge his feelings, but also I don't want the girls to be scared when they hear these feelings, and I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you were talking about the crying, and he did that last night, and he's the opposite though. He doesn't want me near him, and that is so hard for me to leave him in his room crying, but that's, his safe place, and he I don't know why he was so upset, and I just wish he could tell me, and I wish that I could be there to just like hold his hand or rub his hair or something, but he'll just look at you and be like, "No, no, no," like he just wants you to leave.
yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
that's how he's taking his moment. Maybe he's more like you, and he understands he needs to sit in those feelings for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And with Rob when he's frustrated and going through that emotion, he does not want me around. I feel like so I understand what you're saying. Um, all I want is just to hold him and have him tell me what triggered that emotion. I never know the why.
Mhm.
Now, like denied access, I always can tell where the where what causes like a frustrating moment from denied access. I can always tell that. But the emotional crying, the other kinds of meltdowns, I don't know why. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I think that's what's so hard. But hopefully, if anyone is listening and they know what we're talking about, it helps you feel seen as a parent doing your very best and helps us understand that our kids, there's nothing wrong. They're not doing anything on purpose. And I always just try to think about, like, imagine how he's feeling on the inside. Um, instead of making it all about how it makes me feel. And when I do that and I think about those things, it helps me recover, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Well, this was a tough one, but and we kind of talked about it out of nowhere. We really weren't planning on talking about this, I feel like. It just kind of
No.
happened.
I did want to, so changing gears a little bit, I'll tell you a little story about something that happened
Yeah.
yesterday that was kind of cool, and I hadn't got to talk to you about it. So I'm going to take my headphones off so I can't hear myself talk back into my ears.
Okay.
So
We're having a little technical
yesterday,
difficulties here, people.
yes. So whenever I took London to the baseball games, she kept putting her hands over her ears and saying that it was really loud, which it was really loud at the game, and we were like right near a speaker. So I was like, I'm going to buy her a set of headphones just to have in case we ever go to another baseball game, or, when we're in St. John and we're on the boat and like it's really loud. I just thought, maybe the headphones would help her. So while I was buying her some headphones, I went and bought Channing some, just like the noise cancellation headphones, just to see if he would be interested in them at all. And I thought she might be more interested knowing that he had a pair too. And
Hmm.
so we've never done headphones for Channing because one, he's never wanted them on his head. He's always seems to take them off. Um, and two, he always seems to actually more enjoy the loud noises rather than, not be into them. Like he seemed to be more drawn to loud things. So I got the headphones thinking we'll just see what happens with them. Well, yesterday I put them on to see if they fit Channing, and as soon as I put them on, his face like lit up. And
No.
it was wild. He almost looked like I started crying because he almost looked like, "Thank you. I wanted this." I don't know, it was something about the way his eyes lit up, and he didn't wear them for, like, the whole day or anything, but he wore them around in the house, and he just kept, like, touching them and just smiling and, like, looking at me and smiling, and he was still doing, like, all of his same stems, but it was wild because I feel like maybe he needed that, and maybe he will need it, and he'll enjoy it, moving forward. I don't really know, but I think that, our house is a lot louder than it was when he was growing up, because when he was growing
Yeah.
up until 4, he didn't have any sisters, so it was just him.
Hmm.
He was the noise. And now
Yeah.
it's becoming a lot noisier with the 2 girls, and especially
Hmm.
Lainey. She has found her voice and she just likes to scream. And it's
Yeah.
adorable, but it's very loud. And so I feel like maybe he liked being able to kind of muffle that. I don't know. It felt
Yeah.
terrible because I was like, I wish I would have tried this sooner. And then I felt good
Yeah.
because I do think that he liked it, and I'm glad I just tried it at all. But
Hmm.
I don't know, his just it broke my heart because he never could tell me that he wanted this. And he never,
Hmm.
knew that it was an option really, because we didn't really have him just like sitting around. But
Hmm.
anyway, I put him on his talker, so now he has a button for headphones, and he actually requested them again last night. He wanted them on at a certain point. But again, like he's not wearing them all the time. It's just like he likes them at certain moments. And maybe this will
Yeah.
be a thing. I don't know, but I was really excited about it and also just really surprised by it.
Yeah. No, that is so amazing. I'm so glad we're going to end with this story because I feel like it's such a positive, just a positive thing and a huge win. This is, I think, too, a reminder to always try, especially if you've tried something before. Like for Rob, I've tried the headphones. He is not into them, but I feel like if he just got comfortable with them, he could really understand how they would be helpful because he covers his ears when we go into stores and things like that. And I'm like, if you tried the headphones again, I bet you would like really love them, but it just is not the right time for him. And maybe too, like I think he's going to like the headphones, but maybe he is just not meant for them. But I won't ever stop trying. And I love that Channing was able to communicate through his eyes and his smiles to you. Like, thank you so much
He
for this
absolutely
gift.
did. He absolutely did. And, the reason I thought he might like him at the moment was because he was doing like his, like, kind of putting his hands in his ears and he like pulls them out. Like he never really seems like he's
Yeah.
like totally covering them. It's just his eyes just lit up like, oh, what is this? This is cool. So it was really exciting. So
I'm so excited for you too as a mom. Like it's important for you to feel like, I don't know, just like feel the victories of trying something like this and it working. So I know how good that must have felt for you too.
yeah, it really did. I mean, of course, I go into
Well,
the why didn't I do this sooner? But it's okay.
but now we've got to work on getting the flying squirrel up into the trees because
Yes.
I know that you and Chad could make something like that happen.
Yes, we are going to work on getting all the things from camp placed here into our backyard.
Oh my God. If y'all, do you have, you need a, is it like saved on a highlight or
The
the flying
backyard,
squirrel?
those flying
No.
squirrel. No, I
Yeah.
could save it.
Yeah. Put it on a highlight. And
Yeah.
if you're listening and you didn't see Lauren's story, Channing went on this thing, like this contraption at camp called the flying squirrel. And it's basically like bungee, like, it's like he's like in a harness and he's like bungeeing into the trees.
Mhm.
His happy noises, oh my gosh, killed me. What a great way to wrap up. Henry just texted me and he's like, "Mom, are you coming downstairs?" So I think that's my cue. But listen, if you made it to the end of this podcast, we rallied for this episode today. So I'm going to myself on the back. Lauren, pat
I'm
yourself on the back.
patting myself and I'm just praying that it goes through because I just won't believe it till I see it at the end.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording now and we'll see y'all next week. Lauren, don't exit out of this so it uploads.
I won't. I'll stay. See y'all later.
Bye.